Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm Tommy Spina talking with Mayor WOODFIN about lots of things, but on the going out, Mayor, there was some contention amongst the council and the mayor that was publicized a good bit, and no one really knew what was going on completely, but there seemed nobody was getting along, or that's probably an overstatement, but there was some obviously contention going on.
Right.
How is the relationship between you and your councilman?
I think it's a good relationship. We're learning each other. And part of that learning is, for me, is a commitment to over communicating. I think people want to know, as branches of government, mine and an executive, theirs and the legislator, that it's not them versus me, or me versus them and fighting. I think it's all about how we over communicate with each other. And I can tell you, you can't overemphasize over communicating. And so from that standpoint, I think that's how you build relationships. I think that's how you build trust. I think that's how you understand each other. Needs, wants, priorities for their residents, who, by the way, I represent as well. And so it's really about the 10 of us collectively. What is it that we want to see for the city of Birmingham? What's our priorities, and what sense of urgency will we have around executing on those priorities? And I think that allows us to get out of personality. And even if we disagree, as long as we're over communicating, things will work.
Well, what we see, and I don't live in the city of Birmingham, nor do I have the cable company that provides the feed of the meeting. Mm-hmm. But when those meetings are broadcast on television, people need to understand that is just the show, that there's meetings that are going on, I would suspect, daily amongst councilmen
so it's not just,
and women.
It's not just meetings. I think it is, for me, my legal side of my brain tells me, ask a question. What is your concern? What is your issue? What is your want? What is your need? What is your priority? I want to understand what it is. I want to understand you, and I want to understand your issue. You can do that individually, and you can do that collectively to move beyond, I guess, not just disagreement, but it definitely gets you a place to cut out disharmony.
Disharmony,
yeah.
You know, I talk about this often, but communication has two components, and listening, I think, is even a bigger component.
I listen more than I talk.
I think it's important.
I think this council has been screaming out, we want a mayor we can work with. Part of that is, please listen to our issues, listen to our concerns.
And maybe put ego aside?
I think in elected official capacity, I think in the public service space, it doesn't work if ego is leading.
Mm-hmm. What else do we have on the horizon aside from the stadium?
At a certain point, what I'm looking forward to is addressing the community with a new public safety plan that tackles community policing, beat officers, partnership with Alabama Power as it relates to lighting in various neighborhoods, identifying the worst crime areas as it relates to crimes against persons and properties, as well as what does surveillance look like, cameras, etc., and engaging with the community as it relates to what do we want our residents to feel and be empowered to engage addressing crime.
And don't forget education. You know, the report cards just came out.
It did, and the superintendent and I have been in conversations. Let's not forget, she's new as well. She's been here less than a year. We're co-equals.
And you were formerly president of the board.
Yes, so what I have shared publicly, and I'm not afraid to continue to say this, so goes Birmingham City Schools, so goes City of Birmingham. Our paths are directly linked and attached. If we don't find a better way to invest in our children, birth to 12th grade, it's not going to work for our city. So we got to dive deeper with a sense of urgency of fighting for our children.
You know, but there has to be follow-up. So you're in office now. Mm-hmm. You're talking about birth to age 12. That's way off in the future for those individuals to contribute to the city of Birmingham and society. So whoever comes in behind you has got to pick up where you left off, and we've got to have some continuity.
Well, that's part of vision sharing. I think for me, laying out a clear vision for the direction of our city. You can't do that in isolation. It has to include the school system and education. It has to include workforce development and workforce training as it relates to growing our economy and employment opportunities. It has to include neighborhood revitalization and addressing crime. I think from that standpoint, vision sharing allows us to be in the space of planning and then priorities. And when you set them and execute on them, anybody behind me or beyond me, the torch is easily passed for them to pick up right where we left off.
The education piece is certainly a problem, and funding is certainly a problem and a part of that, I suspect.
So I got to put on a different hat. We tend to think fundraising is only isolated when you're a candidate, but when you're actually the mayor, there's a different style of a fundraising hat. For me, that is leveraging additional state dollars, federal dollars.
They're there. The dollars are there.
Private dollars, local foundations and in the philanthropic foundation community, nonprofits, as well as our faith-based community. But even going outside of Birmingham in the state, we know that the philanthropic community is heavily based in New York and California. So that's going to require some travel to go leverage national philanthropic dollars to assist in issues here we know we qualify for those dollars. So in the space of education and housing and poverty and homelessness, all of those areas, we have to go leverage additional funding.
Yeah, I'll tell you another one. You know, it's my pet peeve, and that is the arts.
Arts and culture.
We give nothing virtually to the arts. The city of Birmingham
can definitely be better.
Yeah, I hope we can make that happen.
Yes, sir.
With your assistance. Thanks for being with us as
Thanks,
always.
Tom.
I'll shake your hand. I'm not contaminated any longer. I have had the flu, but I don't anymore, as has most of the world. I'm Tommy Spina, Mayor Randall Woodfin. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll see you next week.